I'm Karl Taylor. Welcome to Karl Taylor Live on social media. This is not Ashley.
It is not.
Normally, Ashley's here, but Ashley's gone on holiday. Where's she gone?
She's gone to South Africa.
That's right, back to her homeland in South Africa. So we've dragged Georgie, who's another member of our staff, out of the office, down here. She's going to be doing some of the Q&A. And
answering some questions.
Yeah,
for you guys.
doing some chit-chat as well. And you may have noticed, look at that. We have a motorbike in the background there, a beautiful Honda Fireblade 1000cc bike that's been kindly loaned to us for tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, Thursday. We're doing a live show. Let's just take a look at this. We're doing a live photography workshop online on karltayloreducation.com on how to shoot motorbikes. And interestingly, that bike there, that orange one, we've got one very similar to that coming into the studio as well as this Honda Fireblade. I'm only going to shoot one on the live show, but I have promised the owners who've kindly lent us these bikes, Andy and I think it's his son Tom, have lent us these bikes. I'm going to do a shot of each one, but we're going to do one of them live Thursday night. So if you're into motorbikes, product photography, I'm going to show you how to light a motorbike, how to bring out all the best details, talk about focal lengths, all of those different things. That's 6 p.m. UK time, Thursday evening. That's 1 p.m. New York time, isn't it?
And you're very excited about this one, aren't you, Karl?
I am. I love motorbikes. Yeah, I used to have one of those actually. So I'm really excited about this shoot, and we're actually going to start test shooting it tomorrow, Wednesday. Practice a little bit on the lighting.
Preparation.
Exactly, always a good thing. Right now, do you know what the main reason we are here today for?
We've got some very exciting news. We've got the competition winners.
We've got the competition winners. Let's have a look. Photography competition.
And we've got
there we go, Ben.
prize.
There we go. He's got it up on screen. We have got a great prize.
A very good
prize.
prize.
We have got. Tell us what the prize is, Georgie.
It is a Cirrus kit.
It is. You're right. It's a broncolor Cirrus lighting kit. Consists of 2 studio lights, I believe, an umbrella and softbox, the bag, the case. It's worth $3,400. We're going to give it away live today to one of our lucky winners. What was the theme of the competition?
It was architecture.
Architecture.
And we've had some really strong entries, haven't we?
We have had loads, and we've shortlisted those down. The team and I shortlisted them down. We went through all of them several times, and we are going to present the shortlist, and then we will announce the winners from that shortlist. Yes? Wonderful. Yes. Excellent. Now, by the way, second prize, you might want to jot this down before I forget. Second prize was a Lee Filters Super Stopper Kit at $122. And third prize is a Lee Filters Foundation Kit worth $78. And obviously first prize is the broncolor Cirrus lighting kit. So we'll get to that a little bit later. Now, as usual, we're going to take your questions here today. So if you've got any photography related questions, fire them in. We'll do our best to answer them. And while we're waiting for those questions to come in on your iPad, let's talk about a couple of other things as well. Now, recently, I say recently, it was maybe a month or so ago, I made a video about copyright infringement and people stealing your images and all of that sort of stuff. And I briefly showed you a service called Pixie.com. Now, Pixie is a service for photographers that allows you to track your work around the world. You basically load your images into their website, and I use their service. And I wanted to tell you a little bit. I only just recently started using their service. They contacted me. They reached out after they saw the video we made, and they said, hey, would you like to try our service and see how effective it is? And I said, you know what? Got nothing to lose.
Give it a go.
Give it a go. So I took all of my images that are online that I'm aware of, my own ones from my website, I piled them into Pixie, and sure enough, within a few hours, they came back and said, we've got 1,341 matches around the world for your images being used. Not only that, the very clever software, it even found images of mine that were my images that have been changed labels changed,
very
or
clever.
bits and pieces changed. It was clever enough to recognize actual images that had been manipulated and modified of mine.
So that's something that backwards Google searches of images wouldn't be able to pick up?
I don't think so, because I've done backwards Google searches on these images before, and it hasn't picked up as many, similarities of my work as this software has done. The clever thing about it as well is that they then can issue a takedown notice, or they can issue a legal claim saying that you've used this work illegally. But before you do that, they basically allow you to check, like for example, Broncolor used some of my pictures, Hasselblad used some of my pictures. So you can immediately go in and say, ignore this one, ignore that one, ignore that one, and that puts those aside. And then it brings to the top of the list the ones that are your sort of priority ones that it seems to think are really serious infringements, ones that companies have been using, not just someone talking about it in a blog or something like that. So then you can basically tick all those and say, yeah, these are definitely priorities of copyright infringement. And then they take care of the rest of the work for you.
So that's quite handy if you don't want confrontation or have to do
I don't mind a bit of confrontation,
Yeah, I know
Georgie.
you don't, but...
But no, I haven't really got time.
Yeah.
So, but do you know what the real winner of this is so far for me?
What is that?
They've made me some money.
Perfect. That's what we want.
Because what they do is they go to the companies and they say, look, you've been using this image. We can see you've been using this image illegally for...
So they've charged them?
They send out the invoice for you. They do keep 50%, but they do...
But you might not have known about them anyway.
I didn't know about some of them. So they keep 50%. They do all the paperwork, all the legal documentation, all the takedown notices. They send it out, and already I'm over several $1,000s up.
There we go.
There you go. You can't say better than that, can
No.
you? So far, my trial usage of Pixie, I'm very impressed with the service. The customer support has been very good as well. So if you're a photographer whose work is being abused, infringed, copyright infringement, you might want to consider a service like this, because they certainly have been able to recoup money for me so far. So far so good. I'll report further on in a few months when we see how things are going. Right, let's move on. So we talked about Pixie, we've talked about our live motorbike shoot tomorrow. That's why we've got a motorbike in the background behind us there, one of the ones that we're going to shoot. But while we're still waiting for a few more questions to come in, let's talk about some of the new course releases. We've just released how to remove a person in Photoshop. Which is, there you can see there's part of the screenshot. I basically took a whole person out of the shot and I take the rest of the body out as well. And you asked an interesting question before. You said, what?
Yeah, I asked, could this apply to other things if you took an image and it was a great image, but something might have been caught off guard in it that you didn't need there, or didn't add to the image.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a person.
You don't have to throw it away. You can learn these techniques to get rid of it, and then you've got the image you wanted.
Absolutely. It could have been a person, could have been a penguin, could have been a studio light, a cat. Something may have gone into your shot that you didn't want in there, and rather than the shot be ruined, this technique demonstrates how to remove something substantial. Okay, because this person was taking up, a good sort of 15-20% of the whole photo, and I basically show the techniques for removing them completely and rebuilding the shot.
So how did you rebuild part of the painting? Did you have to refer to the original?
It's cloning, and it's sampling, and it's best guesswork, initiative, and it's also understanding a little bit about the direction of light and what should go where, and just sort of thinking about it a little bit carefully. But it's about structuring your retouching and doing it a little bit at a time and knowing which bit to attempt first and sort of moving through it like that. So that new tutorial
would help with that.
Practice helps, and watching this tutorial will certainly get you off to a good start. Another new course that we've released is Business Portrait Theory. One of the questions we get asked all the time is not just about the lighting. We've got courses on business portrait lighting, but it was about, what about telling them what to wear? How do I speak to them? How do I handle? I've never done a business portrait before. What do I do? Type questions. So we had loads of questions about business portrait theory. So we made a course about it, and it goes into extreme detail, and it's been very popular so far. So yeah,
I think watching you shoot with business shots, it's it didn't occur to me originally how many things you might have to think about.
Absolutely.
And that people aren't naturally comfortable in front of the camera, and there's little tips and techniques.
Totally right. No one's comfortable, and certainly members of the public are not comfortable in front of the camera. It's a bit like going to the dentist for them. So there's only models that are comfortable in front of the camera. So this overcomes some of those problems that you face as a photographer about what to say, what to let them know to wear, what to expect, posing, various communication skills, etc. So that course has gone down really well too. Right, have we got any questions in?
We do. We've got a question from Siobhan. What is the best, 50mm or 80mm for the FX?
What is an FX?
I'm not sure. I was hoping you would know,
I
Karl.
don't know. I don't know what an FX is. I'm afraid, Siobhan, I don't know what you mean by FX. Do you mean focal length? Is that FX a particular model of camera? Is it a full frame 35mm camera? And what was it? Which 50mm is best? Was it
50mm or 85mm?
Well, if it's a full frame 35mm camera and you want to shoot portrait, then the 85mm is better. So, but it depends what the rest of the question is. We're a little bit unsure.
Stumped by that.
Let's move on to the next one.
So Kat Peterson has asked, how does this program, Photo Infringement 1, help you from a professional aspect? I took photos from a hotel chain a while back and swear that I have seen the images edited and used in other places.
Well, how it helps you is, it's called pixie.com, and you load your pictures into it. It finds all of the possible infringements that it can online, and then it contacts you and tells you of those infringements and asks you what you want to do about them. You go through some procedures saying, I want to claim on that infringement. I want to charge those people for using my images. I want that image taken down. There's a bunch of options. You choose which option you want to go with, and then they do all the work for you. And they do the processing of it, the contacting the company. They act on your behalf in a sort of legal position. They send out the right documentation for you, and then they will charge the person who's used your image illegally the recommended fee, and they've got a sort of fee structure that they obviously put to you first of all. They're saying this is the fee structure that we would recommend should be charged for an image use based on what it was been used for illegally. And they'll do the legwork, the groundwork, and then they'll collect the fee, and then you get 50% of the fee. So it seems like a win-win situation, really.
Sounds like it. Another question?
Yeah, fire away.
So we've got one from Raj Patel who says, what camera do you use, Karl?
What camera do I use? I use Canon 5Ds, Mark IIIs, but my main camera is a Hasselblad H6. H6 100 is the camera I use for most of all my product, fashion, beauty work. But on occasion, where the Hasselblad isn't fast enough in focusing or fast enough in shooting because it's a slower medium format camera, then I'll switch to a 35mm camera if the project requires. The other camera I use is a Sony A7S II, which is only a 12 megapixel camera, but I use that for underwater video, and that's really good in low light, and I'm really hoping they bring out the Sony A7S III. There's been rumors about it, but we're still waiting to see.
Okay, so the next question we've got is from Richie Hall, and he's asked, is it not better but harder to shoot the bikes outdoors?
I don't think it's better, Richie, because you won't have the level of control if you're using natural light alone. You certainly could shoot it outdoors with studio lighting if it's not windy, if you need the space. But if you tune in to Thursday's live show, you'll see all of the reasons and the choices. You can see here, actually, we've already prepared a grey background behind the bike. So we've painted part of the cove in grey. It's actually 12 foot wide, that background, so it's the same as a 12 foot wide paper roll, which we could have used, but seeing as we've got the cove, we're going to run with the cove. The difficulty with motorbike photography is all of the glossy surfaces, the different textures, the different, you've got all those different mechanics, the brake discs, the rubber tyres, the tank, and they're all at different angles. So there's a lot of angularity, if you like, in a bike compared to a car. And those are the difficulties that you've got to overcome with the lighting, and that's what I'm going to show on Thursday night's live show. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So we've got one from Benzik. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Hi Karl, glad to see you live again. As a wedding photographer, what's the best way to get clients, especially when you do not know when people are getting married? Please kindly share your best tips.
Well, I'm afraid I wouldn't know a great deal about it because I've never done wedding photography. Obviously that's a social photography area, so you have to be active on social media. Most wedding photographers that I know get their work from recommendations from the last couple or other couples' families and things like that. You know, it's a lot of the work they get in sometimes originates, they actually shoot a wedding and there'll be someone else at the wedding that's getting married or that sort of thing. So it's word of mouth. It's, you know, basically your clients working for you in promoting your work, and then obviously they're showing your wonderful pictures on social media, and then other people are saying, oh, I'm looking for a photographer. So it's a lot of that sort of social networking with that type of photography. One of the key things to think of though with marketing yourself as a social photographer is never forget the clients you shot for originally. If you shoot a wedding for a couple, or you're shooting an engagement for a couple, then obviously you're hoping to shoot the wedding. If you shoot the wedding for the couple, then keep their details on file, stay in touch with them, because you may well be doing the baby photos 2 years later. And then you might be doing the family portraits a couple of years later that. So it's a good ongoing business, you know? If there was a business in divorce photography, there would be even more business.
I don't think there will be.
So yeah.
To add to that as well, because people are always posting on social media nowadays, especially with their wedding photos, maybe as a photographer you could ask your client to credit you,
yes,
and then other people can find you really easily.
Absolutely, definitely a good idea to ask for the credit or demand a credit. Right, what else we got there?
Okay, we've got one from Steve Slate who's asked, the difference between medium format is obvious, but when it comes to retouching, isn't the larger format more time consuming in the editing process? I'm just wondering.
Not really, no, because most of the editing process for me is colour adjustment and burning and dodging. Now, when you adjust colour to a 12,000 pixel image or a 5,000 pixel image, you're doing it with an adjustment layer, so it's adjusting it the same, so it doesn't really matter, that doesn't matter. If you're changing curves adjustment for contrast, again, that's adjusting the whole image, whether it's 5,000 pixels or 12,000 pixels. The rest of it, the burning and dodging, does take a little bit longer because sometimes with burning and dodging, you're going into really pixel size information, so you have got more pixels. But if you're doing more of a broad sweep across with burning and dodging, you're just changing your brush tool size to do it across the area. So you don't really think of it in like the fact the image is bigger, it's going to take longer, because you're still sort of just looking at it as an overall photo. But there is a little bit of added time in saving the image, saving multiple layers. They obviously take a lot more space because there's more megabytes or gigabytes even per file, especially per layer. For example, the 100 megapixel Hasselblad, a single file layer is 600 gigabytes. So, you know, 10 layers and you're growing that file really big, really quickly. So, not so gigabytes, 600 megabytes. So your 10 files, you've got a 6 gig file, 10 layers, you've got a 6 gig file very quickly. So those things, but generally no, in terms of the overall retouch, no, I don't really notice the difference.
Okay, so we've got Darius here who would like to know, would you recommend a Wacom tablet for editing instead of a mouse?
Totally.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree with that one.
You use one, don't you?
When I was at uni, I didn't realise this for a long time, and I was using the trackpad on my laptop actually, and one of my tutors came over and he said, have you been making all your work with a trackpad? With a trackpad.
My
and
goodness.
I said, yeah. And he's like, have you never had a tablet? I was like, ah.
Right.
Okay, and it transformed the way I did my Photoshop.
It does take a bit of time getting used to a tablet because you've got to get used to that whole drawing and flowing around with your hand and the pen. But the tablets are pressure sensitive, tilt sensitive. You change the size of your brush, the softness of your brush. You have a whole array of additional features on the tablet for zooming in and out, changing brush size. I don't use any of those. I only use the brush, the tablet pen, and I do all of my adjustments with my keyboard on my computer for changing brush size, softness, hardness, all that sort of thing. So I'm just using it like a pencil and burning and dodging. And I pretty much only get the Wacom tablet out for burning and dodging and coloration work, because that's literally the only Photoshop work I do. But doing burning and dodging with a mouse or a trackpad, I just couldn't understand how
it wasn't the best idea.
Wouldn't even be possible as far as I can tell. Okay, fire another one.
Okay, so Amit has asked, end interior photography tutorial soon? Question mark.
Are we doing an interior photography?
I think that's what he's asked.
Not at the moment, but we may look at that for next year, 2020. We are obviously judging our architectural competition today, so you're going to see some really nice architectural shots very, very soon, and we'll announce the winner of the Syros lighting kit as well. What else we got there?
So Spencer's asked, do you use a Nikon at all, and if not, why?
Well, I use a Canon. I have used a Nikon. 20 odd years ago I used a Nikon FM2. I also used Minolta. I've used Olympus. I've shot with Sinar, Mamiya, Hasselblad. Pretty much every camera brand you can imagine, given my 25+ year career, but I haven't used Nikon because I've been locked into the Canon system for quite some time. When I was shooting as a photojournalist back in the 90s, I was using a Canon F1 and T90, and I've kind of just stuck with the Canon system. Most photographers, they get locked into a system and they kind of stick with it. There's no real reason quality-wise why I would choose a Nikon or a Canon. They both can do an equally good job, so it's nothing to do with that, and I don't think people should really get too hung up on which camera system you're using. They're all capable of delivering amazing results.
Okie doke. We've got one here from Lavina, and she's asked, I have many different cameras, but also find myself using mainly the Canon. I have not tried Fuji? That's the one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you have either, but I find it has a great atmosphere in certain portraiture that I've seen. If you fancied a change for something a little different, would you try this camera or change for another Canon instead? Looking for advice, really. Thank you.
Well, I haven't used the Fuji. The Fuji, there's a new Fuji which is a medium format, but they do other formats as well. Again, as I said earlier, 95% of the time I'm using a Hasselblad medium format camera because my work is studio based. So I don't really have much use for a 35mm camera or any desire to change to another system at this moment in time, because the camera I use serves me perfectly well. I think when it comes to cameras, it's just like driving a car. You've got to test drive a few, see which one you like.
Yeah.
See which one you can afford.
Yeah, well. That's quite important.
Does it work for you? Does it make you money, or is it more of a hobby thing? You know, those are the things to consider. I mean, I know a lot of people that just love using the new 5D Mark IV. There's people that love the Nikon D850. There's people that love the new medium format Fuji. And then there's people that are raving about the new Hasselblad X1D2 as well. So there's tons of stuff out there, but I'd recommend to anyone, get one in your hands, try them out, see how they feel, see if they fit.
But I also think the best advice is to not get too hung up on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, cameras nowadays are all pretty, they're all going to do the job. So.
Yeah, this is it. Too many people get hung up on the gear, not enough on the art and the technique and how to light things and the concepts and the narrative. Those are the things we should really be concentrating on.
That's what will take your photography to the next level.
Absolutely, absolutely right.
Okie doke, so we've got one here from Javier who said, received an email this morning saying that the architecture portrait submissions were being judged this morning at 8 AM.
Nope.
Nope, I don't think
we sent an email out saying that.
We've got one from Abby.
If we did, it was a mistake because we always, from as far as I was aware, said they were going out at 4 PM today. If it did say 8 AM, on our, yeah, we always do 4 PM. So it may have been a typo, but I don't think we did send out saying 8 AM, but apologies if we have.
Okie doke, so Abby's asking, what coat do you recommend for background? If we were to use conventional materials, what surfaces would you recommend? Height and width?
Well, my favourite background is what you see behind us, which is actually a solid painted cove. So that's like a flat wall, plasterboard wall with a plaster render, and then it curves into a concrete floor via some marine ply that's bent and plastered over as well. So that's an infinity cove. In America, they call them cycloramas. You can actually buy some that are pre-made that clip together. A flat, smooth surface is my preferred choice. We use paper backgrounds occasionally, but you get ripples in paper, especially with humidity or when it's been rolled up for too long. So I don't really, I mean, the paper's convenient, it's cheap, but I prefer a flat wall that I can paint. You also have options on vinyl backgrounds, canvas backgrounds, coloured patterned canvas backgrounds. There's a multitude, but it really depends what you're shooting. If you're shooting just like a headshot and you want that sort of mottled canvas for that portrait look, then you can get those. You can make your own canvas. We got video on YouTube how to make your own canvas backdrop as well. It really comes down to what you're shooting. Sometimes I use big sheets of coloured card as backgrounds behind product shots. Sometimes I use sheets of MDF, which is a smooth, flat wood surface, and I just paint them a bit like that. So really, you know, it depends on the type of photography you're after.
Okay, Raj has asked, how much do you charge your clients, Karl?
Lots of money. Loads. You can find out the answer to that, Raj. If you look here, this is our business section on our Karl Taylor Education website. And in here is a whole section on pricing your photography, pricing your work, how much to charge your clients. Even tells you what even different types of photographers charge, whether it's wedding, portrait, commercial, product. It's all there on Karl Taylor Education. I'm not going to reveal that here. That's quite sensitive information, and that's exclusive to our members who do know how much I charge my clients.
There you go.
There you go.
You have to join. Okay, so we've got one from Hein, and he's asked, hi Karl, how big is the market really for landscape photos? And which genre of landscape photography is the most popular in your opinion?
Well, I'm sorry to quash any aspirations, hopes and dreams. I don't think there's any market for landscape photos anymore. That ship sailed some time ago, back in the day when you know, you had some famous landscape photographers doing very well. People like Charlie Waite. There was Joe Cornish, I think it was as well. Some really nice landscape photographers doing some great work, selling prints and landscape prints, doing books and stock photography. Then back in 2008, there was this massive explosion of interest in photography, which is when we got into the education market. That boom saw people get into landscape photography because it was the simplest form of photography to get into, because you just need a tripod.
Don't need studio lights.
No, just
don't
need
need
tripod.
a studio.
Don't need a studio. Tripod, camera, wide angle lens, maybe some filters. Everyone was going out shooting landscapes, and people started turning out some really good ones. And then obviously everyone started getting access to cameras that had 22 megapixel, 30 megapixel, 40 megapixel. So all of a sudden the market was saturated with some really good photography, and I think that ship sailed basically. So I don't think there's any money to be made in landscape photography. You know, there are obviously some key photojournalists still working around the world that do photojournalism that occasionally have to take landscape to help build a story, but it's part of a story. Standalone landscape photographers that are successful these days, I'd probably say, is a little bit more rare.
Do you think landscape photography, though, might be a good way in if you're a beginner to get to grips with parts of the camera?
Totally. I mean, we've got landscape courses because it's still a very popular genre of photography. So we have a lot of landscape photography courses teaching people the techniques, because like you say, it's a great learning curve into photography, because it does teach you those basics about time, motion, light, exposure, all of those things. And it's also great to be outdoors, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Nothing better than being outdoors freezing your nuts off trying to do a landscape shot.
Yeah, maybe you can get some decent results that are quite beautiful when you're not actually, you know, advanced yet.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's quite encouraging
it is,
for the beginner.
If they learn a few basic techniques, those basic techniques can take you a long way in, like you say, delivering beautiful images quite quickly. Yeah. We've got loads of questions coming in. We might have to be selective. Might have to be selective or take a break in a minute. But let's get a couple more in before we move on to the competition.
Okay, so we've got one from Mark, and he said, "Would you rather choose a 50mm or a 70 to 200mm for shooting full body on a clean white background?"
Depends how big your studio is. If you've got
how big the person is.
Yeah, I mean, a 50mm is a good choice for full length, and you can do a lot with a 50mm for other stuff. 70 might be pushing it if you're in a tighter space, to be honest. So I'd probably say the Prime 50. If it's definitely full length, including the feet and a bit of the floor and above the head, that might be the way to go. If I had a bigger studio, well, okay, I have got a big studio. If you have a bigger studio, big enough studio, then 70 to 200 would be more versatile for other stuff, and a 70mm will still shoot full length perfectly well, as long as you've got the length in your studio to fit, you know, to get back far enough to do it.
Not against the wall.
Not against the wall,
might not be as comfortable.
Yeah. That is really, I hate that when you're stuck against the wall trying to get.
You don't have that problem in this studio.
No, we're all right here.
Do you want another one?
Keep going. Keep going. We'll take a couple more, and then we're gonna look at something else before we do the competitions.
So Benzik has asked, "Hi Karl, as a photographer, what's the most important thing to pay attention to? Is it the lighting, the outfit of the model, or what is the best type of lighting, such as dramatic or soft lighting?"
Well, it depends on the story you're trying to tell, and especially it sounds like they're talking about fashion or beauty
yes,
there.
It sounds like that.
With fashion and beauty photography, it's all of those things. Okay, let's just quick jump into my website here. So if you take, for example, well, let's take this shot here with the lovely Karis. There are a number of elements going on in this shot. We have a beautiful model, we have a beautiful dress, we have incredible lighting, if I say so myself, but we also have an incredible set that Tim built with his dad. We've got the element of the swing in there. We've lots and lots of things, but the shot relies on all of them. The styling, the makeup, the hair, the model, the expression, the story. It's not just one thing. And with beauty photography, these are ones we did recently down at the coast. Again, we had makeup, hair, styling, the narrative of the shot, everything that you want to put together in it. The lighting, I'd say, is I'm always keen on the lighting. The lighting.
Yes, I agree. Especially as a photographer, the lighting should be the most important.
It
really.
should be.
And the styling, if you can work with someone that has more experience in that area, if it's not your forte, and the outfits and the makeup and everything, that will help the image come together. Because
Absolutely.
not all photographers are.
No, I'm certainly
not their forte.
I know nothing about it. I mean, we had a stylist in on this, but that person mentioned about whether they should go with soft lighting or hard lighting. Well, here's a great example. That's the same set, the same swing, the same model, but look how that shot feels different from from that one. There's the same model, the same set, the same swing.
That's a good example.
Completely different style of lighting, hard lighting there, drama, theatre, acting, but complete props, exactly. But the same set converted into a completely different feel. So lighting has a huge impact on the emotion of the shot, but so do all the other factors as well. And if you want to get a better grasp on that and what you need and to build that type of story with fashion and beauty photography, head over to karltayloreducation.com, because that's what we teach. Right, let's take two more questions and I'm going to move on to something else.
So Winnie223 has asked, "Hello Karl, how often do you use a HSS in the studio? I'm a semi-pro intending to get a couple of non-HSS strobes for a subject and portrait photography as a long-term investment."
Never use it. Never use high-speed sync flash thing in the studio. Partly because I don't need to, because the flashes I've got a very high, very fast flash duration anyway, and partly because with medium format cameras, they have a leaf shutter system. Well, most medium formats do, not all of them, and the leaf shutter system can sync up to any speed that the shutter speed can go up to. So I can sync up to 2,000th of a second in camera anyway, but it's rare that you need to do that. You only need to do that if you want to cut out ambient light when you're shooting outdoors fashion. And I only need to use the fast flash duration stuff if I'm shooting flying liquids and having to freeze something moving around fast. So you'll be surprised, not that frequent you need to use this stuff. So I wouldn't get too hung up on it. Right, one more question, and then we're going to move on.
Okay.
Because I'm sure people are dying to see
they're so excited.
They want to know who's won the Syros kit. They're all sitting there with bated breath.
Okay, so Rohit, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, has asked, "I saw your tilt and shift product photography class. Is it advised to own a tilt and shift lens for product photography and food photography?"
It's useful, yes. I don't use them very often, but the one I think he's referring to, or she, I don't know whether who it was this shot here. And this is a great example where a tilt and shift lens, if this loads up, where's it gone? Why is my internet stuck? Hang on. Oh, there it is, right. So a tilt and shift lens allows you to change your plane of focus to a different angle. So traditionally, if this is the back of your camera or your film here or your sensor, and this is your lens, the depth of field will always be like that way.
Yeah.
But if you use a tilt and shift camera, you can tilt the lens and then the plane of focus runs differently. So you can change your plane of focus, as I've done in this shot here, to run at a different angle, and then you can get greater depth of field all the way through your shot that you wouldn't have been able to achieve without a tilt and shift lens. So it does have its advantages. It especially comes in useful in product photography. You know, shots like this with the perfume lying on its back there would be a perfect example. This sort of shot here would have been another good example where a tilt and shift lens would have been very useful. So you'll mostly find it is product photographers that are using tilt and shift lenses, and even further than that, product photographers using tilt and shift cameras. So they're actually taking their digital back and then putting it on another camera like a Linhof or a Sinar, and then they've got full movement of the tilt, shift, rise and fall and everything, and you have to use different lenses like Rodenstock or Schneider lenses. So it's the same sort of camera systems I used to shoot on back in the days of film when I was shooting 5.4. Now there's sort of miniaturized versions of those cameras where you can put the digital back on. They're a lot slower to work with, but you have all of that control with tilt and shift. It's called Scheimpflug theory, and it's how you can manipulate the plane of focus separate to the plane of the recording medium. It's quite a complex area. I don't use it a lot. I use focus stacking sometimes more on macro shots, but on more broader product photography, I'd say, yeah, you might need to come across it now and again. Right, that's it for now, isn't it? Right, yes. Now we're going to take a look at something else here, right? You see here, where is it? I've lost it. I think, oh no, there, right. See this shot, this flying T shot? This was a new course we released, and everyone was raving about this photo here. They were like going, oh, we love this photo. It had like one of our most likes on Instagram. It was
very popular, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I liked it, but it wasn't my top of my, not really my favourite. But so many people have liked it and gone on about it that I thought I might stick it on my website. Now, this is a great opportunity. We've just looked at my website. There's my website there. This is a Squarespace website, my commercial site at karltaylor.com. This is the Wells template. If you want to get a Squarespace website, you can use the offer code Karl at checkout and you'll save 10% on your website. And you get, I think, a 7-day or 14-day free trial anyway. I really love the Squarespace website because it's so easy to upload images. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log into my Squarespace account here. And I'm just going to bring up my Squarespace site here. I'm going to go into Pages, and I'm going to go into the Objects category. And I'm going to take that flying T shot there, and I'm going to drop it into here, and hopefully it should come in at the bottom of there's a lot of images to load. There it is. So there's the flying T. Let's move that. I'm going to just move it into a different position. Let's put it next to that orchid. It's a vertical shot there. So I've just loaded that into my Wells template Squarespace website, online, live in front of you. Now, if I go back into here and I reboot that page, now on my Squarespace website, let's just drag that out a little bit further, we should see that flying T shot somewhere down next to that ice image, wasn't it? Somewhere. Where is it? No. Oh, there it is there. So look.
How easy was that?
How easy was that? That's how quick it is to load images onto your Squarespace website and how easy it is to manage your stuff on your Squarespace website. You also notice here, I've added a little extra thing on my Squarespace website to normal, and that's the workshop we've got coming up in March with legendary photographer Tim Flack, and I will both be teaching some very important theoretical stuff to do with the human vision, lighting, lots of practical demonstrations. We bring, actually those are the shots that Tim shot on the workshop last time. So we had a white horse, a black horse, and a goat in here. And we're going to be doing something similar again this year with animals, but we also did product photography and beauty photography as part of the workshop as well. That's going on next year, March next year in our workshop. If you're interested in that, we've only got 6 spaces left.
Five now.
Only 5?
5 spaces
Five
left,
spaces
so
left. Wow.
get
Selling
on it.
out quick. So if you're interested in that, get onto our website, check out the workshop page. Right, now we were talking about Squarespace. I want to say thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode. If you want a Squarespace website, use the offer code Karl, get 10% discount. We're going to take 4 more questions,
Okey-doke.
and then we're going to move on to the architectural competition.
Okay, so this is a boosted question. So this is, hi, when are you coming to Iceland again? Want to learn more about my country and how it is possible to create cool visuals just with nature.
This person is from Iceland, yeah?
Yes,
Sounds
I
like it, yeah.
unfortunately can't read their name. It's
Where is it?
this one.
I can't see. We're just about it.
Hafstania.
You got as good a guess as me. Good a guess as me. Well, I tell you what, we loved your country, Iceland. We had such a ball working there. We did a week or 8-9 days of fashion photography using some of those amazing locations. We did landscape photography. I think we were one of the first people to do a full-on fashion shoot using those amazing backdrops in Iceland, and we filmed it all, and we created this amazing documentary called Fashionscape, which is on our platform. I would love to go back. I actually said I'd like to go back to shoot portraits of the people, the local people. Last time we travelled around the south of Iceland, from Reykjavik all the way around, can't remember, to Jökulsárlón or somewhere a little bit further, then stopped at Vik and then back round again. I'd like to go around the north this time, but I'd like to go to some of those sort of remote villages and country farms and things and just shoot the real people in the landscape, portraits of people in their landscape. I just think that would be a fascinating few weeks, well not a few weeks, maybe a couple of weeks would be enough, and just take a vehicle and do that. So I'd love to come back and do that sometime. Fascinating place.
Maybe a bit less stressful. You wouldn't have to pack as many dresses for the models.
Wouldn't have to pack as many dresses or lights or kit or everything else, or take 5-6 people with me.
There you go. So just to mention earlier, I think it was my mistake, I misread. He actually said 8 PST for the time.
I don't know what PST
it was
is.
4 p.m.
Oh,
but
right.
it was their time, 8 a.m.
Oh, okay.
He was just asking if the results were going to be shown, and yes, they are.
Yes, they are. What's PST? Is that Pacific Central?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I get confused. We're on GMT at the moment,
Yeah.
Greenwich Mean Time, or UK non-British summertime.
There you go.
There you go.
So Adam has asked, do clients demand medium format, or is it just something you prefer?
Some of my clients do demand medium format, and that is to do with the fact that certainly with product photographers, the type of work that product photographers do, the art director may want to crop into a little bit of an image. They want that really high level of detail in product photography. It's easier to work with. It gives you more tonal range, silkiness to retouch. You know, you just, for me, images like this just look much more impressive from medium format. But I could take that same shot on a 35mm camera, and online it would look exactly the same as that. It's when it comes to blowing it up or seeing it big scale, or going into the finer detail, then you probably start to notice the difference. We get asked a lot about this. We've got a food shot of, I keep calling it chicken, which Anna gets really upset with.
Is it the duck one?
It's the duck one, right? We've got this food shot, and we did an exact example.
There you go.
Well, yeah, here's a good example for this person, right? These shots look really nice. That's shot on 35mm, and that is a product shot. That's on 35mm. That's all on Anna's Canon 5D Mark III with a 100mm macro lens. So it is perfectly reasonable and acceptable to shoot on 35mm, But if you just want that extra level of quality, then the medium format is necessary. But what I was going to say is that I shot this on medium format, but we did a comparison. We shot it on 35mm as well, and it looked pretty much exactly the same until you really got into the fine detail on it. So it's not the end of the world. You can do some really good stuff on 35mm, but what you do need is you need to pay attention to the lenses. If you're going to go 35mm, then you're going to want really the very best lenses you can get your hands on. Because part of the beauty of, say, shooting with a Hasselblad system is not so much just the format, it's the fact that the lenses I'm shooting with are really good. I don't have to worry about, you know, when you buy 35mm lenses, like, oh, that lens has got a bit of this, or it's not that good, or this, that, and the other. You have to start thinking about lenses you're going to buy. If I buy lenses for the Hasselblad, they don't sell any rubbish lenses. All the lenses that I need from their system will work and will do the job. So it's a different type of approach. It's also the way you work with medium format, the whole thing about tethered shooting, the way the larger image on screen, and there's many facets to it beyond just image quality.
So would you say lenses are worth the investment?
Definitely.
For quality?
If you're shooting 35mm, I would rather have a lower specification body. Like, say for instance you had like two cameras. One was a 40 megapixel, one was a 40 megapixel. One had loads and loads of gizmos like fast frames per second, 20,000 million focus points and all this. I would throw all that nonsense away. I wouldn't bother with that. I'd just get the cheaper body that had the same quality sensor, same quality image, and I'd spend all my money on lenses. And I'd go for the best lenses I could get, you know, Zeiss or whatever the top lenses in that particular brand had available. I'd focus my money on that. That's where I'd go.
There you go. Okie doke. Lost where we are.
Have you lost your place?
I may have. We had a big stream of questions.
No worries, just choose one.
We got Ted Eggs here, and he said, "Hi, Karl.
Hello, Ted.
A while ago in a blog, you mentioned in Photo magazine, which featured you. I was not quick enough to write it down. Can you remind me of the title?"
Yes, it was Photo Professional, and they did a spread about the marine pollution image that we did a while ago. This image here, which was one I shot in the studio here. We comped the sky in, but everything in the shot here is real. We did that as a anti-marine pollution campaign image with the baby sat in the valley of rubbish. We've got a really good blog post about that shoot on our website. It's also on Hasselblad's website on their inspiration stories, but Photo Professional magazine did a feature on it as well. So it was Photo Professional or Professional Photo. I can't remember what it's called.
And we spoke about it in Photography News as well.
That's right, Photography News as well. But is it Professional Photo or Photo Professional? I can never remember.
Professional Photo.
It's Professional Photo. Right, there we go. Right, couple more questions, and then let's move on to this competition.
So Eleanor's asked, "Hi Karl, how did you find yourself using a drone? Is it difficult, and is it a future trend aerial photography trend?"
Well, it's not difficult, certainly not with Ben's expertise instruction. Ben, who works here, is already a drone flyer. But I tell you what, I think anyone could do it, to be honest. I'm just too lazy to read the instructions, so I got Ben to come along with me. We had the new DJI Mavic 2, was it the Mavic 2 Pro? I can't remember what it is. But it was it was the one with the Hasselblad camera version which we went for. And but whether it was that one or a different one, flying this thing was a piece of cake. You just went up, floats, left, right, down, backwards, boom, return to base. If it's going to run out of battery, it comes back home. Everything about it, obstacle detection, collision avoidance software built into the thing, tracking, it can lock onto the subject and track them. So many amazing features, it's incredible. And we cover all of that in 2 videos that we published on YouTube a while ago. So go check those out. And it's basically showing you how I had to learn from scratch using the drone and how easy it was. Then the second video, we go into some of the more advanced features of tracking and stuff. But it was a breeze, absolute piece of cake, so much fun as well. But I don't really use it for stills. I'm using it for video and we're using it for video purposes, but it does, the one we've got does have a 22 megapixel stills camera in it, so pretty good, yeah.
And those videos are a really true representation of how easy it was, because I was filming this.
You were filming, yeah, that's right.
And there was no practice from Karl. He just straight off the bat, we just went and it was
video,
really simple.
And we show the video results in the videos, and I thought we got some really nice footage as well, going out at the magic hour and shooting some really nice light of the coastline and stuff. And yeah, go check them out for yourself. They're on our YouTube channel.
Okay, so Daniel has asked, hello Karl and the team. I was wondering what material you use to hold the 2 lipsticks that are on your webpage on KTE in the product section. Live workshop, cosmetic product shoot. I think he's directing us to where it is. The ones on the right. Thanks and happy holidays.
Product workshop, live workshop, cosmetics, was it?
If you...
Wasn't that one? Because
those
are just stood on a table. No, there is. This one and the ones on the right. Oh, I know. Right. Go. So let's get a better photo of that, because I've got a better photo of that somewhere here. Objects. That shot there. Right. So that is a acrylic triangle that I had made by a sign maker. So it's just made of white acrylic, cut sheeting, and then it's been glued together. I've also had stuff made like that, made out of balsa wood, and then had it painted and stuff as well. We get all sorts of stuff like that made, props made for different things. Quite often it's plastics and acrylics, and usually a good sign maker or model maker company can make that sort of stuff for you. So, yeah.
So Thomas has asked, one of my clients wants a winter wonderland photo shoot, but I have a problem with the snow being talc.
Salt. Use salt. 20 kilo bags of salt. Buy industrial salt. Salt doesn't get everywhere in the same way talc will. Talc's very fine. Salt also has a glistening sparkle to it, like snow. I've done several shoots with fake snow, and we just have got bags of industrial salt delivered, poured them all over the studio floor, and then you put your subject in the salt, looks like real snow. That's on a larger scale set. I think you can use it for smaller sets as well. The other one that we've used on little desktop size sets is washing powder. So washing powder, but you have to find the washing powder without those blue bits in.
Oh, that wouldn't be very good.
They don't look, but salt works usually pretty well. So
would that be like sea salt? Because if it's too fine, would that, or does it not?
No, it doesn't really matter. It's you know, when it's down, it's sort of just a little bit glittery. It looks quite nice. So salt can work well.
Okay, we've got one from Devil who's asked, 8-bit or 16-bit workspace in Photoshop. In what situations would you choose the one or the other?
Well, it's interesting this, because Tim Flack, who I just mentioned in the workshop, he works mostly in 8-bit because he's got, you know, he wants to work with a quicker workflow. And I discussed with him, I was going to use the word argue, but I wouldn't argue with Tim. He's a very knowledgeable chap. But I use 16-bit because I'm looking, I've got a lot of gradients in my work in the backgrounds and things like that. And with those gradients in an 8-bit image, you can end up with banding if you're not careful. So I work in 16-bit, that avoids that problem. 16-bit does multiply and increase the time for saving the image. You know, the retouching process is increased in time because of you're working on the larger file format. So every time you've got to save, every time you've got to open, the file sizes grow exponentially bigger with every layer. So there are disadvantages, but yeah, I'm a 16-bit person in Photoshop. Most retouchers will also work in 16-bit as well, but again, you need a decent enough speed computer to handle it. But then people like Tim Flack, and when you look at Tim Flack's post-production work, which is incredible, and the images that he turns out, a lot of the stuff he does, or certain segments of the stuff that he does, is in 8-bit. So, so there we go.
Do you think you could consider what the photograph might be for if it's for a large print? It would make more sense to 16
maybe, but I mean Tim's work sells
that's true.
as fine art prints as well, you know, big fine art prints, and I've seen his prints in galleries and on the wall of his studio, and it just looks incredible. So, you know, if anyone can advocate 8-bit as being perfectly acceptable.
Maybe he's right then.
Yeah, maybe he's right. I mean, one thing I can tell you is that nearly every image that is 16-bit will be converted to 8-bit before it's printed, because there is no 16-bit printing.
That's interesting.
So there's only 8-bit printing anyway, but it's just for the fact of the actual process of the retouching part, I prefer to have 16-bit. But anyway, right, let's take a couple more questions, then we're going to do this competition.
So Michael's asked, hi, I will get soon a Para 222.
Wow.
I've asked in some of your videos on Karl Taylor Education, as it always seems to be behind you, is there another way to use it?
Like on the side?
Like on the side.
I just saw that on the end there, like on the side. And the reason I said that is because if Michael has been into some of our stuff, what he'll recognise is he'll recognise this shot here. That's on the side. So the Para 222 is at an angle on the side there. It's coming in side lighting. And it is an absolutely beautiful light from the side. You can use it behind you for full-length fashion, 3/4 fashion, but you can also just tilt it at an angle. And then you get a crescent shape of light in it, which creates a beautiful lighting for a side lighting angle as well. So yeah, definitely you can. You can use it all over the place. I mean, I've got other shots where I'm using it from the side. Here, this one, he must have seen this one. This one, it's being used from the side. There's a beautiful soft light from the side. I think, Michael, you need to go and look at some more of our tutorials that you've missed, obviously, on Karl Taylor Education, because I use the Para 222 in a number of occasions in some of these shots from the side as well. Close to the side, far to the side, it's a very versatile light. And if you do get one of those lights, I'm sure you're gonna, or one of those modifiers, I'm sure you're gonna love it. Right, one more question.
So Maxine has asked, hi Karl and the team, I have the broncolor lighting but struggle to attach a large softbox on my own. Just recently I thought it was correctly attached and it fell off, breaking the flash tube. Is there a knack to it?
Yes, now Maxine, yeah, this is very interesting, because that happens to a lot of people. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna get one, and we'll just show Maxine very quickly. Let's see, can we see here? Can you see me? Yeah, so here's a broncolor softbox on a broncolor light. Never try and take it off like this. Always turn it up this way, okay? Because then if you're putting it on and you don't put it on properly, it's not going to fall off. Now when you spin it, it gets to a point it won't spin any further. It can spin the other way, all the way around, but at some point it will stop. And when it stops, that's its locking point. Take the Velcro, grab hold of it inside, make sure it's not hot when you do that, rather than trying to manhandle it out here, and then pull the catch down, twist and lift. And it's that easy. And then when you put it back on, line up the catch points and make sure it's in position. Let me just make sure I've got it lined up, because that's the key thing. Did I line it up? I don't know if I did. Yes, I did. And then when it's clicked in position, you know it's in, and that's it. So just point it upright to the ceiling, and that usually makes it a lot easier for you to attach it. So
gravity's on your side that way.
Gravity's on your side. So there's your tip of the day for mounting softboxes. Right, is it time?
I think it's time. I think we've made them wait long enough.
It is time to announce the winner of our Broncolor Cirrus lighting kit, our amazing December Christmas 2019 prize. We're going to look at the images we shortlisted, and where are they? Here they are. We have these shortlisted. Now there are only 3 first, second and third in this competition. So first of all, I'm going to just introduce you to all of the images. So I'm going to select them all and we're going to run through them, and I'm going to discuss a little bit about each one, and then we'll announce who's won. So let's just go into slideshow, 15 items. I'll go through the names of the people in a second. Oh, it's going on its own. Stop, right. I can't see the names of the person in this view, so we'll go through the names of the people in a minute. So this was one of the entries, beautiful shot looking down on this building and all the balconies. Very interesting viewpoint. We really like that one, the team here. This one with the lone figure standing at the bottom of the stairs. Everyone.
It's very atmospheric, this one, isn't it?
Very atmospheric, nice cut of light across the stairs and the lone figure standing there. Architecturally, I think if it was me shooting that, I would have put more light under those arches and a few other things. But we like the symmetry. We like the concept, so we thought it was quite nice. I really liked this one as well because I thought it had a lovely atmosphere with the mist and the sort of fog. You got that layering of buildings and how they get slightly mistier as they go back, which gives the sense of depth and perception. Beautiful light falling across, raking across the shot. This one, very dramatic, black and white, graphic style image. Looks like a long exposure with a big stopper or something where you've got the clouds streaking. And I really love that line of shadow just going across the edge of the building there. So that was a very powerful one. This was a very interesting shot as well with this sort of futuristic, super space age building. Nice balance between the silver metal and then the orange warmer colours and the people working inside. And then all this bounced light going across the foreground. My only thoughts with that one was I think it should have been a little bit darker, the sky, maybe a little bit more.
Once you said that, I could see where you were coming from.
A little bit more twilight, so maybe if that sky had been a bit darker, a couple of stars coming out there. I mean, obviously the moon's there in the top shot, but beautiful shot.
Lovely different types of lighting though. You've got
it is, yeah. It looks good. It's very interesting to look at, very interesting building. This was a great, interesting take on it on architectural photography as well. Another one here, interior shot. I thought it had quite a nice mood to it, feeling to it with the warmth of the sun coming in. This one was quite abstract. We really liked this one as well, didn't we? With the bounce of light. Minimal, yeah. But what's really interesting is again, it's about the light, isn't it? The thing that makes that shot is that patch of light coming in here. You see. And that patch of light, as the sun's up here somewhere, it's coming striking down, hitting this wall, and then it's bouncing back. So this wall is acting like a reflector that's creating that patch of light there, and those patches of light there. And the actual front of the building is in shadow here, you see? But look at that surface, how all of that is actually like lit from that surface there, which is acting as a reflector.
But one of the, the art of architecture photography could be that, you know, you get the building at just the right time of day.
Absolutely.
And that might mean you visit the building time and time again, you look at it in a different light, you get really familiar with it. That's the photographer noticing that's the best lighting and it's the best moment of day to capture it.
Yeah, exactly. Even going one stage further, using some of the apps that you can use that show you the position of the sun, different times of year, the height, the angle. You can actually plan and calculate when the light might be good for a certain building, and it may be on one given day at one given time, and then obviously you need the weather to be good as well. That's the time you need to be there. So you can do
Bingo.
You can do a lot of research into that window of opportunity. This one, another one, we liked the scale of the people and just the small figures there with the sweep of the curve of the roof of the building. Another dramatic, powerful black and white one, long exposure, looking up at the building. We really liked this one. This was a really lovely, clean interior shot. We thought very commercial looking, but very successful commercial shot. I think whoever that building was shot for, they'd be very happy with that image. This one was not so perfect from an architectural point of view, quite strong converging angles, but I really loved the atmosphere because of the fog and the mist, the turbidity in the image with the glow of the street lights. I thought it was just an interesting shot to look at.
Very moody.
Very moody. This was a very powerful, dynamic, graphic image, really great layers, levels, shadows, levels of reflection in the image and gradients of light, and then that really beautiful blue sky with that single puffy cloud there. Yeah, really great on that one. This was another fantastic image as well, graphic, architectural image, very vivid yellows. Our eyes respond to yellow colour very very aroused our neurons in our visual systems by yellow. So that one really stands out, and then it's juxtaposed against the blue of the sky as well.
Interesting reflection as well, capturing that yellow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We've got yellow bouncing around in the glass here, and then I love these patches of light coming down here into this bottom right-hand corner as well. This one, the staircase, really nice shot of the stair. Many layers and levels of looking through. It feels very three-dimensional.
It does, doesn't it?
You know, which is really important in photography because we're dealing with a two-dimensional art form.
Your eyes really run round it. It's good composition.
It does, really good composition. And then we're back to the start. So, so basically, this was our short list of images here that you can see here. Let's just run through the names to give everyone a mention. Let me see if I can make these a little bit bigger. Yes, I can. So the stairs, this one was by Anthony Leconte. Bryce Marden shot the, I hope I pronounced these correctly. Bryce Marden shot this shot. Claudio Heller shot this image. David Greskow.
That's as good a guess as mine will be.
Shot that one. Davor Ergo shot that interior image. Oh my goodness. Evyatar Nagar shot that particular shot there, the black and white one looking up at the tower. Fahad Al-Sumate shot that image. Fari Sahin Sarimez shot that image. And Graham Schieman shot that shot. Martin van der Vossen shot that one. And Matt Banton, hope I'm pronouncing these correctly. Otto Schlemmer, Otto Schlemmer, I think, on that one. And we've got a couple more. Philip Colborn shot that picture. And Philip Oberhuber shot that one. And finally, Pierre-Henri Bruchon shot that shot. So, would you like to know the winners?
Yes, we would.
In third place. Now, do you know what we did? Because it's Christmas and we were having trouble deciding, we decided to do a joint third place.
We did.
We did a joint third place with these two. Bryce Marden and Anthony Leconte. You've both got joint third. We loved your shots. Really well done. You have won a Lee foundation kit, filter foundation kit each. That will be whittling its way in the post to you, probably after Christmas, because it's all a bit busy with postage stuff at the moment. Second place. Where is it? I've got to find it. Second place, well done to Otto Schlemmer. You have won
the Lee Super Stopper.
The Lee Super Stopper. He looks like he might have one already.
He's got another one now.
He's got another one in case he breaks that one. So well done, Otto. You are second place in our prize. And our first place winner goes to Claudio Heller for this wonderful shot, abstract architectural image. We loved this shot. We all agreed this was our favourite shot from the bunch. Very clean graphical lines, lots of layers, lots of levels, lots of tones, shadow, gradients, the sky, and then that beautiful cloud in there. The whole thing we just loved it.
It's just so well executed. It's so slick.
It's slick. So well done, Claudio. You are the winner of a Broncolor Cirrus lighting kit. So that's a nice Christmas present for you. Make sure, if you're watching, that when you get that kit, we'll have to see where you're from, but when we ship that kit to you, or Broncolor ship that kit to you, make sure you get a photo of you with your prize so we can put it on our blog, please. Right, that's our competitions done. I think, since it's Christmas, we'll take 3 more questions.
Okay.
Before we wrap this up, because it's getting on a bit now and we need to get prepped for this motorbike shoot tomorrow. So a few more things to do here in the studio.
So Goodfella has asked, hi Karl, during the holidays I often see great images on billboards for the bigger brands, but it's almost impossible to find out who photographed them. Any thoughts?
Well, yeah, it's going to be impossible to find out who photographed them unless you take a picture of one, throw it into Google reverse image search and see where else it will come up. I mean, there's many of the big name photographers. I mean, we had Jonathan Knowles as a guest on the show recently. Jonathan Knowles, a world famous product advertising photographer, shoots for all the big brands. You know, you'll see his work all over the place. Barry Macario, another product photographer. My work sometimes ends up in billboards. There are numerous top-end advertising photographers in New York, Paris, Peter Lipman in Paris, fantastic product photographer. It could be fashion, and if it's fashion, it could be, goodness knows, could be Rachel Smith, who's coming on the show in March. Could be Rankin, could be
Tim Walker.
There you go, Tim Walker, could be anyone. It's very hard to pin down. But I can tell you that we obviously try to get some of the very best photographers from around the world on our talk show. We have the talk shows regularly on Karl Taylor Education in our live show section. They're all available on replay, where you can learn from these amazing world-class photographers, learn about their work, how they apply their techniques, how they go about their business. Lots of great advice and tips from those guys, and we also look at their work as well.
So we've got a question here from Lord, and he's asked, what is the best way to share my photos as sample for business?
Well, you've got, I wouldn't email them in, because emails come and go in my junk folder and my inbox so much that I barely pay attention to it these days. I think I'd pay more attention receiving something tangible in the post. A lot of photographers that market themselves produce either sort of a mini brochure, a threefold digital printed flyer, or I know Barry's produced even sort of a portfolio book before that he's mail shotted. I used to do printed portfolios that I used to have delivered by courier to clients. So I think the printed material route is the best route. It doesn't mean it has to be expensive, because you can get like postcards printed and newsletter type things printed that are quite economical with digital printing these days. Get those sent out to a select range of clients. I think that's probably more effective.
So that's interesting. If someone sent you a portfolio for whatever reason, you take more note of it.
Yeah, I would.
Physically.
I think if someone delivered an iPad in the post and I received an iPad and it said press here and showed pictures, I'd probably look at it, but that's a lot.
Fingers crossed you get it back.
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas a brochure is expendable, isn't it? You know, yes, it's going to cost you a few quid or a couple of quid or dollars, whatever, to get produced. But I'm going to look at a brochure if I get that in the post. And I think we've gone full circle. You know, we started back in my day when I was promoting myself in the late 90s, early 2000s, and sending out portfolios and brochures and all sorts. You know, that was the only way of promoting yourself back then. We barely ventured into websites at that point. And then everything went the rage to like websites, Instagram, and, you know, digital media and all the rest of it. But I think people have become a bit sick of it and overwhelmed by it.
So many people have a website nowadays.
Exactly. Someone emailing me going, can you look at my website? Can you look at my picture? I just get so many requests like that. I don't look at any of them. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time.
I guess it's so easy to send someone a link to your website and shove images on a website, whereas you've taken effort and shown special interest in the company.
You've made some effort,
spent some money,
and you've invested in doing that as well. And if that's got a nice covering letter, I'm, you know, personally, I think art directors are more likely to pay attention to that. Yeah.
Okay. Got another question here about the workshop. I can't pronounce that name, Aquilino. I wanted to ask you something about the workshop that you hold in April. Are there any discounts for members?
Unfortunately, there is no discounts for members of Karl Taylor Education, but there is a saving by booking the workshop early, because it goes up to its full price closer to the deadline. I have to say, I don't think anyone's going to pay the full price at the moment, because it's selling out quite quickly. What we have done with the workshop is we've thrown in an extra night's accommodation. There's, you know, the dinner out with myself, Tim Flack, the team, to the restaurant. There's lunches provided, breakfast included, hotel transport to and from the hotels included. It's an amazing 4-day
really
experience.
Looked after if you come on.
Really
looked
looked
after.
Everything.
Don't think about
We've got
anything
animal
else.
handlers bringing in horses and goats, and then product photography. We've got a model booked in for the shoot as well. We had 16 super satisfied guests last time we ran the workshop, and it covers some really in-depth information. It's not really a workshop where we're able to sort of offer a discount, because whilst we really appreciate our members on Karl Taylor Education, we offer and run a very low-cost monthly education platform. The workshop is something completely different, a completely different type of experience.
Okay, we've got a question here from Joseph, and he said, can I send you a shot I took for Coca-Cola and tell me what I'm doing wrong? And I thought we could maybe send him in the direction of the mentorship.
Yeah, we don't. If you're a member on Karl Taylor Education, you can submit your entries into our critiques. So what happens is we regularly do picture critiques for our members, and those critiques change themes. So we do portraiture, landscape, fashion, product, various critiques throughout the year. We are also introducing a new feature for members, which I can't mention at the moment, but it's going to allow the ability for us to potentially critique your work more regularly. So there are things coming up, but we can only offer that to our members. We can't offer that to non-members, simply because we have
not enough time in the day.
Well, there's not enough time in the day, and also we have to look after our members first. You know, they're more loyal to us. We have to be loyal to them. So if you're a member on Karl Taylor Education, get your work into one of our critiques, or enter it in one of our competitions, or look out for the new facility that we've got running next year as well. Right, should we take 2 more? And then we're going to have to knock it on the head because we're well over time.
So Bonjo2K has asked, hi Karl, do you use the HC50-110 much? And if so, what's your opinion?
No, I've got the 50-110. It's a very heavy lens. It's a nice lens. It's a good lens, but I prefer the 35-90. The focal range of 50-110, because I've got an 80, I've got 100, and I've also got wider than 50. But the 35-90 is a really nice range to have, and it's super sharp lens. I really like that lens. Maybe I just got a really good one, but mine is super, super crisp. My favorite lens in the Hasselblad lineup that I use all the time is just the straight 100mm prime, which is an f2.2, and I use that because I use it for portraiture, fashion, beauty, product work with the extension tube, because it doesn't focus close enough on its own. So that's my most used lens, but I do use the 35-90 a lot. I don't use the 50-110 so much, but I have used it before. As a matter of fact, in the Fashionscape series in Iceland, you see me using it quite a bit there. Right, 1 more for luck.
Okay.
Let's go.
So DC is asking, what are the most lucrative genres of photography?
Product and advertising, which is the same genre, and fashion. Both difficult ones to break into. Fashion's more difficult to break into than product and advertising. But if you're at the top of your game in product and advertising photography, you can earn big fees for doing advertising campaign work. And even if you're not in the big fee stuff, you still can earn a very good day rate for your skills as a very good product photographer. Fashion photography is a whole nother ball game. It's more of a very sort of closed shop area of a select few photographers that are working for the big fashion labels. Those that are working for the big fashion labels command very high fees. It's more of a sort of almost a bit of a network thing going on. They often use the same photographers regularly in that area, and the fees for that are very large. But in some, I mean, there are some amazing fashion photographers, but there's a few that are a bit iffy in my book. Controversial, iffy, and you know, they've either just got where they've got through knowing the right people, because some of the work isn't amazing in my opinion. Some fashion photographers that I know, work is fantastic, but if you're in that area and you're in with the big top brands, then you can earn really huge fees and usage fees as well for your work. So those are the 2 most lucrative areas, I would say, of photography. But I also know wedding photographers that do a lot of really, really cool Uber weddings, if you like, for people that have got a bit of money and they travel around the world shooting weddings and do some great stuff, and they're making great annual salary from that as well. If people run good portrait studios with portraits, weddings, social stuff, they can command a good annual salary and fee. As a matter of fact, here's a great thing to finish up on. On our blog, let me just find it. If you go to Karl Taylor Education, we've got a great article about pricing your photography and how much photographers earn. If you go on our blog and scroll down, blah, 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 blah. Is it in this one? 7 things you need to know to become a professional photographer. Is it in here? Yeah, I think it's in this. Are you
thinking of the calculator?
No. The calculator is linked in this as well.
So that's there, yeah.
Yeah, but it's got how much photographers make for each genre. So this is a blog post that we've got.
Covered.
We got it all covered. This is free information. Our blog, Ashley, who writes the blog, she's got tons and tons of amazing articles in our blog. This is all free stuff for you guys to enjoy. So if you're not members of karltayloreducation.com yet, either you haven't got the budget, you haven't got time, whatever, we've still got tons of amazing stuff on our website, on our blog, some great information that I think you'll love. So in answer to that last person's question, I think you'll enjoy that blog post. Right, this is going to be the last time we're live on social media this year. So we want to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a happy new year. And we will see you again in 2020. But those members on karltayloreducation.com, don't forget to join us on Thursday when we'll be photographing one of these beautiful machines, either this Honda Fireblade or the KTM sports bike that we'll be shooting live on Thursday evening, 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. New York time, a live interactive workshop. Hope you can join us on karltayloreducation.com. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Karl Taylor.
I'm Georgie.
And we'll see you next time.
In the new year.
Bye.
Bye.